going on, guys? Week 4 of my vlog series leading into Raw Nationals. Great week, back into an accumulation phase. Outside of training this week, I wrote some information on Locus of Control for the weekly email series, the Athlete's Performance Toolkit. Locus of Control has to do with your explanatory style for how you explain events. So, are you an internal explainer? This is basically you determine the cause of your success or failure is internal. It's up to you. It's your success. It's your hard work, or it's your lack of hard work. Or is it external? It's out of your control. Turns out that locus of control has a lot to do with success in sport, how we explain sport, and some really interesting correlations that we'll get into. So thanks for joining. You can sign up for the Athlete's Performance Toolkit for free by following a link in the description, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, so shorter week of training this week. Whoops, I had a monitor on, turning it off. Shorter week of training, not really from the training side, but just because of recording. Skipping day 5. I'm just about to do it in a little bit here because Sunday we're headed down to the Rocky Mountain State Games, USA Powerlifting 2-day competition. So we'll be there for the second day to referee and help out. So that'll be fun. Great first week of accumulation. Things feeling light, controlled, confident. These sets of 7 at 585 were really, really nice. And then later in the week, some heavy block pulls. So yeah, just phenomenal work. Technique is feeling good, but the highlight this week for me was squats. Deadlifts have kind of been consistently feeling good, so have bench press. But my day 2 squat session, things felt just really natural, I guess, and controlled, and I just felt very explosive and stable and all the wonderful adjectives you would want to feel while squatting. So I'm excited for this week's session, or basically today's session, to continue that pattern and push my way forward. I think today's either 5s or 4s for squats. But yeah, again, just solid work overall. Looking at things going on outside of training, for the weekly emails series, I want to make sure that I have content prepared for that for well in advance. So I've been working on just getting things ready for the second half of the year, so that you guys get one email per week for as long as we continue to have good topics and good information to share. So we've got Locus of Control that I've been working on, which is a concept from psychology that also applies to sports psychology, but it has to do with how you explain events to yourself. While some people may explain events as internal, under their control, other people may explain events as out of their control. So some of this has to do with where you grew up with and what your environment was like in early life. Were your parents, did they have an explanatory style that was internal, or was it external? So internals might say things like, my results are the product of my hard work. Every action has a consequence, and I need to decide what the consequences of my actions will be. Externals, or people with an external locus of control, might say things like, things happening in my life aren't really in my control to change. My own actions are often due to external factors like fate, luck, the influence of powerful people or entities, or I blame others when I fail. So there's something called a defensive explanatory style. Basically, when you fail, you seek explanatory explanations that are external, but when you succeed, they're internal. And actually that shows some kind of a positive effect for sports athletes. Basically, putting this in real world terms, when you do well, it's because you were the cause of doing well. When you did poorly, it was due to factors outside of your control. So this has important effects in medicine as well, and being a coach. We really want to make sure that we foster internal locus of control in athletes. So we need to make sure that athletes don't rely on us too much, because athletes might ultimately get the impression that their results are their coach's doing and not their own doing. So it's really just about making sure that we support athletes' individual efforts and that they know that they're the ones in the driver's seat at all times. So each of these weekly emails also has some action steps, some homework to do, something to read, a quiz to take, or something to think about and kind of chew on, or a conversation to have with a good friend or something like that. Anyway, bench 180 for some triples here. We're moving just fine. And then later on in the week, 160 for some sets of 8 with some good, nice work. Overall, I'm really happy that the assistance exercises are continuing to go up. Actually, another big milestone this week was pull-ups, and just back strength in general is on the rise. I've just been taking accessory work and actual progression a little bit more seriously now, and honestly, it's really paying off. So no surprise there as far as it actually paying off, but yeah, it's a good sign that there's still progress to be made and still gains to be made. Feeling healthy. Another big win from this week was nutrition. I've been pretty consistent with protein intake, with calorie intake, with regular meals. Breakfast is usually some eggs and either sausage or Serrano ham with some toast and bell peppers and spinach, and then either a shake or chicken and rice after that, and then either chicken and rice or a shake after that, and then an intra workout during training that contains a scoop and a half of protein and some carbs, and then one more meal when we come home from training at around 8:30 at night. So, yep, things have been looking really, really nice. Also, just a really supportive training environment here. We've got a damn good crew and a lot of really strong people that not only train there on a regular basis, but come through and come to join us in some sessions for those people who are outside of the Fort Collins area who still come in. So nice to see some of that stuff. Natalie's training is ramping up as well. She's doing a bout of equipped lifting, which happens every now and then. This time it's just kind of like getting back in gear and getting a little bit more familiar with it between her nationals training cycle and her world's training cycle. So kind of splitting the difference there. Her bench is going really well. Deadlift's going really well. Squat's going well. So yeah, pushing forward. These cable flies, I think I mentioned, I like better than a dumbbell fly. Dumbbell fly just kind of feels a little bit awkward in the first few inches at the bottom end range of motion. And these just kind of feel like a nice, consistent tension overall. So just a really good feeling movement. I think I've got just a nice blend of movements that support each other in training. So I think I mentioned last week I was a little bit surprised to see that block pulls were back in for another 4 weeks. But now looking back on it, like the block pulls are a heavy lift for sure. But the deadlifts, the just straight sumo deadlifts on the other day are not light either. I mean, those are up at 585 and 600 pounds and up. So it's not like deadlift isn't getting enough training these days. It certainly is. So these block pulls here were yesterday and felt super, super good. The change that I've been making is to feel just slightly forward and to kind of feel the weight a little bit more on the balls of my feet and to feel like my back is doing a little bit of that initial activation of getting the bar moving, along with my quads, of course. But yeah, instead of sitting back and having perfectly vertical shins, it's been being just slightly more over the barbell. So up to around 750 pounds for triple for the top here. And that's a good starting point for week 1 back up in this. So probably go up to, who knows, 360, 370 or something like that next week. These damn pistol squats were difficult. These have been in my program for like 8 weeks, but because they were hard from the get-go, I kind of skipped them. I know, bad athlete, but skipping something that's uncomfortable instead of making an adjustment. So now we're making an adjustment. I'm using kind of some support to help me get stable. Natalie's been helping me set that up. And I'm able to get through these a little bit better, and I'm hoping they get a little easier week to week. It's crazy how, you can squat 700, you can leg press 800 pounds, and then sets of 8 on pistol squat with no load can humble you. So, yeah, it's interesting how some movements can just do that. Following this up with those sets of 8 on bench press, I'd say bench press, one of the things that I've really, really enjoyed is driving my traps down and driving my chest contact point up. as I pin my shoulder blades back. Obviously, that's pretty basic stuff, but it just kind of, when it clicks, and I kind of know when it clicks, the range of motion is a lot shorter, reps feel a lot snappier, and I don't really get out of position as much between reps on multi-rep sets. So these sets at 160 felt really, really casual, which is a good sign at this point in time. Finishing the training vlog off with my favorite ab exercise, which is a cable rope crunch. This has always just felt like a really big amount of activation. You can load it, you can hinge. It's just it's pretty brutal. I like it a lot, especially if you hinge around the low back and keep the arms fixed and keep the lower body fixed, and just kind of drive that midsection. I basically aim to drive the bottom of my hands, the heel of my hands, down into the floor. Great movement. All right, guys. Hope you have a good week, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Take care.